Hey, welcome to Cinema Recap. And whatever you do, don't get lost, because today's nifty adventure is Vanishing Time, a boy who returned. Looks like a movie about a mysterious place, so let's warp into this. Spoilers ahead. Where it all began. I guess it's a recount of some random person with some girl named Sue Rin. She's also someone who helped a criminal make their getaway. Here's a child. Now here's a doctor with a bad memory. Sounds like a boring combination, but hear me out, cause this is how the story pans out. The little girl says that she used to live alone with her mom until she remarried and then bit the dust. Then she tells us of a time when she moved back while in 6th grade. She's the new kid on the block. Not too bad. I mean, the place isn't too shabby. Another wannabe narrator. I'll take it from here, thanks. This girl is Sue Rin, and she's new to this quaint little island. Well, it's kind of a lonely first day, as she's alone the entire day, even at home. Poor kid. Boom goes the dynamite. Sue Rin is left all alone to listen to the music box that I assume her mother left her before she died. She says she wanted to escape any world, maybe even no clip to the back rooms. Soon her otherworldly habits spill into her schoolwork. Let's just say the other kids don't take too kindly to others having actual hobbies.
네, 성민이를 만났어요.
Met is not the word I would really use. More like an awkward stare down at first. It's nice that Sung Min actually introduces himself, but she chooses to be alone at the end. Astral Projection. In school, the staff warns through the morning announcements to watch out for tunnels under construction, because those areas are accident prone. Afterwards, school starts, and Sue Rin overhears Sung Min telling his accomplices of his out-of-body experience, to which they're all calling BS. The kids are asking Sung Min if it's all true, and they're saying it's all lies. After school, Sung Min actually gets Sue Rin to witness his astral projection. He says it takes her about a week of practice to get it right, and believing you can do it is the key. Sung Min wants to try it with her, so he asks her to memorize some ritualistic symbols in preparation. Later, they get ready for the ritual. They prepare all the little bits and bobs for this ritual of astral projection. They get started, but whatever they were inviting in didn't grant their wishes or answer their questions. Well, Sue Rin's thinking Sung Min's request is comedic, so the two are starting to grow close to each other. Over time, they spend more time with each other. Eventually, in their little adventures, the pair stumble upon an abandoned house, and they say it might have a door into another dimension. Soon, they start exchanging stories about their orphan experiences and share a tender moment, but there's a chill in the air. Boo! Just a prank, bro. Although Sue Rin dropping the carving down the hole wasn't part of the plan. Sung Min tries to reach for it, but he accidentally slashes himself. He gets patched up and then...
나 좋아해?
Well, these two are moving kind of fast, and it looks like Sue Rin returns his feelings. They become a de facto couple. The Hole. Yeesh, kid, don't aim that thing at a person. Sung Min comes to her aid and spills that they're going to see the tunnel explosion, much to his friend's disapproval. Sue Rin wants to go. At first they refuse, but they have no choice now that she knows about it. Too bad one has Chinese class, so he splits, while the rest of the gang move into the restricted area. Group shot. Soon they finally arrive near the tunnel, and it takes too long for a nice boom. Luckily, Sue Rin finds a hole, and it seems really deep, like Alice in Wonderland deep. They play rock, paper, scissors to see who's gonna go in, and the fat kid loses, so he takes points. He goes and they follow right behind him, but man, that hole gets deeper and deeper, until it leads to a light. Soon they find a puddle with a golden orb shining from the bottom. Sung Min strips, dives down, and snatches the glowing egg-looking thingy. Suddenly, the lights of the cave go out, and they all vamoose. And once they get out, Sung Min thinks the weird thing might be an egg of a time-eating goblin, which he elaborates on that story from his granddad. Too bad he's in the cuckoo house. Sung Min elaborates further, saying that if you go into the time goblin's cave, he's gonna steal your time by making you older. Well, whatever it was, Sue Rin goes back in for her missing hairpin, but the Big Bang. Guess it's time for fireworks. Either that or it's Morbin time. Sue Rin escapes the hole, but something feels wrong. Looks like the egg cracked, and the rest of the gang are gone. Night falls, and she's left lost in the woods. Nearby, Sue Rin's stepdad, Mr. Park, is the head of construction, and these angry parents want him to stop construction because their children apparently got in. One of the parents receives a call that Sue Rin was with him during that incident. News gets word of this, and the following day, a mass police search starts. Mr. Park gets interviewed by the cops about Sue Rin, but man, he didn't study for that test. Then he tells the detective a car accident killed his wife the year prior, and since then, he and Sue Rin have been distant. Well, they found someone, and it's Sue Rin. Everyone rushes to see, but only Mr. Park is allowed to be with her in the ambulance. Soo-rin recounts the events, including all that crazy mumbo-jumbo, which of course they didn't believe her. Recovery. She gets better, and she's taken back to the forest to help that search party. Eventually, a few of the parents realize that they were just walking in circles, and the Karen-esque complaining begins. It's so terrible to the point that one parent buys into the idea that she's a freak. A riot begins, but it's soon quelled by Monokuma announcing that a body had been discovered. And the body's from the fat kid, found about 20 kilometers away. Maybe the explosion sent him flying over there, or never mind. Detective An says the body's fine, but he did succumb to chronic asthma. Something's not connecting for me. Soo-rin eventually goes back to school, and a funeral rite for the game-ended fat kid proceeds. No idea if it's a daydream or not, but somehow Sung-min appears and he's glad that Soo-rin is a-okay. But too bad for Jae-wook, the lardmonger. Later, some faker-looking guy goes to school, but then he finds some clothes on the street. The return. Detective An announces finding the boy's missing clothes, and that they're now trying to find who left them. Alone at home, something outside her house draws Soo-rin out. She follows the noises to the woods, only to find stranger danger. He comes closer, and he gets too close for comfort. Call Chris Hansen. The creeper claims to be Sung-min, so Soo-rin has the appropriate reaction. Run. The guy restrains her as she's screaming, but she breaks free and runs to her dad. Soon, they call Chris Hansen. Nah, not really. They call the next best thing, the cops. They search and interview Soo-rin on who it was, but she says he claimed to be Sung-min. Outside, Detective Cho gets a hold of something that looks like Sung-min's, nabs it, and it's Sung-min's notebook. He even wrote the story of what happened to him when Soo-rin went into the cave, so it's rewind time. Time has cracked. During Soo-rin's hairpin quest, the boys look at the egg, and it moves. They all agree to break it, and wow, look, nothing, the world. Time has stopped, and Sung-min goes after Soo-rin, only to discover that time had stopped. He goes out, and it seems like all his buddies can still move. They come back to town and are actually having fun with this stop time. A world of frozen time is theirs to enjoy, until they get bored after a few days and decide to leave the island so that time can pass faster. Too bad since time has stopped, the water also stopped flowing as well. Snap back to reality. The cops get wind of that perp, but Soo-rin confesses that it's all a lie. The cops stop, and Soo-rin continues to read Sung-min's journal. They couldn't leave, so they just stayed around the island. For now, it's the mall's camping depot. Soon, Jae-wook doesn't feel too good, so Sung-min goes to get some help, but they get distracted with weeb stuff. When they come back, it's already game over for Jae-wook. It's gotten so bad that Tae-shik cries out loud. They carry him out to the playground and bury him. That's how he was found in the present day. After that, life carries on in the world of frozen time for 5.5 years. The boys are growing older, studying during their free time. Of course, unavoidable financial theft also occurs, but hey, who wouldn't? They do some calculations and they're almost 20, meaning time might flow again once they reach that age. So our boys gussy up for adulthood. They worry that no one might recognize them, so Sung-min leaves the carving of Soo-rin at her place. Eventually, they reach beyond 20, and time still hasn't flown. Well, Sung-min hasn't lost hope, but instead has gained better sculpting skills over time. Too bad Tae-shik is beginning to lose hope and going back. He blames Sung-min for breaking the egg, so he goes man in denial. After that meltdown, Sung-min notices the moon has changed, but Tae-shik is nowhere to be found. He looks all over the island, but no luck. Then on a rocky shoreline, he finds his clothes. Sung-min finds out he took a trip to Davy Jones's locker. Sung-min jumps after him, and time suddenly flows once again. Time resumes. In shock that time is flowing once again, Sung-min becomes a hobo despite stealing heaps of cash. Soo-rin goes to look for him in that old abandoned house in the woods. Once she gets there, she returns his journal. Cue the tears and sorrowful music.
미안해.
Soo-rin finally accepts that it's Sung-min, and she even finds the giant carving of her. Sung-min worries that no one will believe him about what happened, but Soo-rin will help out. Soon the cops find his face at the police station. Soo-rin helps Sung-min reestablish back into society, but come on man, remove that hoodie cause you're looking sus. Good thing Soo-rin grooms him, not that kind, by giving him a much needed haircut. And despite that, he still wears that dirty hoodie around. And to not make it look so bad, Soo-rin holds his hand. In the old abandoned house, they find the stored money and give him the complete makeover. Soon they rehearse over the lines for him convincing people that he's Sung-min. Man, it's gonna be a lot of studying. Soo-rin later tries to convince that kid with the Chinese classes of Sung-min's story, but he gets all annoyed and tosses that notebook into the sea. Things aren't looking good for Sung-min, because the cops start posting wanted posters all around town. It says that he's a suspected kidnapper. The trouble with time. I guess it's a bit of a chill time for Sung-min, as he's chilling around, until he starts seeing things being dredged to the bottom of the sea. So he goes on a break and enters Soo-rin's home, saying he didn't want to be alone. If they find you, you'll never be alone with those inmates all around. Soon he laments that he did break the egg.
나만 계속 살아도 되는 걸까?
With those piles of cash, yes, Soo-rin shifts the blame to her, and they fall asleep next to each other. Korea, you're filming dodgy things. Morning arrives, and Soo-rin's dad knocks. He says he's about to leave for work, while Sung-min hides under the bed. Mr. Park goes to his droning 9 to 5 when a crowd suddenly stops his car. Oh man, what is it this time? Well, it's about that Chinese class attending boy who narked to the parents. That's Sung-min's back. The crowd riles up and tries to attack Mr. Park due to some conspiracy theory, but he retreats. An awaited revelation.
섬 전부기를 다 알아?
These two go for a little hike, and as Soo-rin explains the movement of the moon, she estimates that he's a little below 30. Some time passes, and Soo-rin asks what appears to be Sung-min's foster mom if she would recognize her son as a grown-up. Foster mom said she'd be able to recognize him if she got the chance to talk to him. So Sung-min gets the green light from Soo-rin, but Mr. Park suddenly busts in and takes Soo-rin away. Sung-min aborts the plan, and Mr. Park loses his marbles to Soo-rin. Mr. Park goes ham on Soo-rin, and he says that she's been like this ever since her mom died. She blames him for that game ending, so he's really ticked off now. Drags her into her room, nails the doors and windows shut. How's she gonna eat? I don't know, man, I'd watch out for social workers. Back at the orphanage, Sung-min still goes in for the objective. She actually tries to hear him out, but she's still a bit freaked out. Now that I think about it, she's probably not gonna buy it. Going to Mr. Park's POV, he has Soo-rin's phone and sees the adult Sung-min in her photos. Speaking of which, it's jailbreak time. There goes Soo-rin on the run with Sung-min. Mr. Park late to the scene of the door being open wide. But you don't lock up your kids like that next time. So he calls the detective, but he cancels that as soon as he sees the abandoned house and Soo-rin's photos. After the pair run away, they talk about how Tae Shik knew about the time goblin. It was because when a friend of his disappeared, that's what they believed. Soo-rin suddenly remembers there's another goblin egg in the cave, so she goes for it, with the plan of breaking it in front of everyone so that they'll believe him. Sung-min doesn't agree to this because it'll risk Soo-rin's life.
우리 그냥 같이 떠나자.
I mean, they have boatloads of moolah. Sung-min's fine in leaving as long as he's with Soo-rin, and she agrees. Time for daddy issues, and oh boy, Mr. Park manages to find that abandoned house. Great timing as the two come back to the house and pack their things to leave. Hidden from view, Mr. Park launches a sneaky underhanded bash attack. Yes! Sung-min recoils from the hit, and Mr. Park tries to drag Soo-rin away. Sung-min grabs his legs, charges him like a one-arm, about to give the TLC blow, but Soo-rin stops him. She tends to his wounds. The cops come hours later. They think he's a Chris Hansen target. A massive wave of news reports about it all over the country. The final time sink. Looks like they actually got away. Sung-min and Soo-rin are both shocked to find them in the news, and they're cornered at the airport. They book it to a taxi, but soon get ratted out. 5-0 are on their tail, so they head to the sewers. Soo-rin gives herself up and lets Sung-min escape to vow to meet at the cave. Ironically, some cop offers a DNA test, but the detective declines it. They interrogate her and don't believe her goblin story, so she escapes. She makes her way to the cave in the forest. In the cave, there's another goblin egg, so Soo-rin dives for it, but Sung-min also wants to get it. He doesn't want to give up that egg because he wants it all to end by taking the fall. An explosion knocks Soo-rin off, so Sung-min runs with the egg. Too bad the popos see him, and he arrives at a cliff. He thinks that all their lives are ruined thanks to this one incident with the egg. If they didn't find it in the first place, he thought they could have just been enjoying their lives by now. The cops arrive with firearms brandished. They're cornered like animals. The detective wants Sung-min. She's begging the cops to listen that it's really Sung-min. The detective feigns investment in their explanation while a cop readies his stealth attack. Pressure goes up. The cop jumps at Sung-min, but that makes Soo-rin fall. A good thing the detective catches her. Of course, Sung-min is also at the edge of the cliff. Soo-rin is losing her grip, and Sung-min tries to catch her, but she falls very slowly, mainly because Sung-min makes the ultimate sacrifice and cracks the egg. End of the line. Now they're both in the world of frozen time. Well, not exactly. Soo-rin finds herself alone with a knocked out detective, and the batteries run out. Going back to the finale, Soo-rin was forced to say that she was threatened by Sung-min, but nobody would really believe her. Soon the detective comes by and says that even if he does believe her, nothing will change. Hence, that's why she said she was threatened. The lady interviewer asks Soo-rin's permission to have her story published in a book. She accepts on the condition that she would put a secret message on it. Eventually, the interviewer comes to give her a copy of the Vanishing Time book. Then she leaves with her father. Later, she thought she saw who Sung-min might be, but to no avail. Soon she boards a boat, leaving the island for a better life. While on the boat, there's one last surprise. Slow motion for dramatic effect, and it's older Sung-min. And we ship off, cause that's it for Vanishing Time, A Boy Who Returned. So what'd you guys think about this movie? Let us know in the comments using the hashtag #CinemaRecap. This was Vanishing Time, A Boy Who Returned by Baron's Son E&A Corp, starring Dong Won-gang, Yoon Soo Shin, and Lee Hyo-ji. Until our next Goblin Egg, see you around.